Hello and welcome to Unshakable with Human Design. I'm your host, Nicole Leno, and it isn't just me today, of course. It is the start of the month. It is September, so the lovely and talented, beautiful Christina Luna is here with me. Hello, my friend.
Hello, Nicole. I am so excited to talk about September. This is my favorite month of the entire year.
It's our time. It
It's our
is
time.
it is our like to me this feels very much like I was saying before we hit record, I love September. It's our birthday month. It is, we're both September babies. We are both Virgos. It is our season officially. And I always love me some Virgo season. It's, I get so much done, which is so pleasing to me as a Virgo. Like everything feels very elegant to me. September, I get so much clarity. And for everybody listening, the traits of Virgo, we can tend to think of them as not always so desirable because it can be like perfectionism and critical. But Virgo is also the goddess who gets shit done and who like sees the through line of everything. And that is one thing that I feel like I always get in September. If I get like jumbled up or if I feel like I can get a little bit in my Manny Gen ways of like taking on a million things and doing it all and getting maybe a little confused or overwhelmed, September is when it's like, no, babe, this is the through line. Get rid of all that other stuff. And we have the eclipses coming up, which is going to have us like getting rid of anything that doesn't, belong. And I just feel like it's a wonderful pruning time of that, of just like, no, 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 babe. This is the thing.
Yeah, the way I relate to Virgo season is we got super excited about something in Pisces season. We were
Hmm.
gifted beautiful grand vision for what is possible. So we were in this reflection of the year that came before. So then in Aries, we forge forward to initiate something into our lives. And in Taurus season, we did an inventory of what it would take to bring this new initiative to fruition. So, did we have enough money, time, resources, patience? Were we consistent enough to make this actually stick? And so, Taurus season tests it in a fixed sign. Then we had Gemini season. And Gemini season is when you learn what you'll have to improve on, what you need to learn more about, what will it take to continue it through to the end of the cycle. So there's a lot of changes that can occur in Gemini season. Then we get to Cancer season. And Cancer season is when we've got the seeds in the ground, but we're not seeing any progress. Things are incubating. We are like, it has to become a labor of love at that point, or else it's
Mm.
lost. We don't know if it will feed us later. There's like this bit of despair in Cancer season. And then in Leo season, we decide, you know what? I'm just going to keep acting as if, and I'm going to have faith that this is going to work. And so we double down on something, but we still don't have the tangible evidence of that entire process quite yet until we get to Virgo season. And then in Virgo season, we say, "Oh my gosh, these actually were really good tomatoes. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy that I put so much effort into those cucumbers. Like, look at how delicious these cucumbers are." And we also see that there were some things we invested in that just didn't work out. And so there's heartbreak involved too, but at least we know. At least we have the tangible
Mm.
evidence of what worked and what didn't. And if we can reconcile, giving up, what is that when you have a sunk cost in some kind of investment that you have a harder time letting it go?
Oh yeah.
Is that
I,
is
I
that the term?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
There's a term where you've invested so long in something, even though it's not working for you, you don't want to let it go because you feel like you're losing
Yeah.
the investment. But this is a time where you got to cut your losses. You invested, you put your energy into it. A couple of things in your life just might not work, and you've got to be humble enough, especially with the South Node in Virgo, humble enough to say,
Mm.
I was wrong about that. I thought it was going to be good and I was wrong. I'm going to let that go and I'm going to honor what actually is growing properly and put my energy into those.
Yeah, and that I mean all of that. And I feel like, September is the end of like Q3. Like we're kind of like we're getting ready to close out the year. I think there is this like I feel like Virgo season kind of kicks us very purposefully into that last sort of push of the year of like how are we going to see all what actually needs to be seen through to the end. Now is the time where we kind of like get that last bit of energy push, and it always feels very intentional to me in September, where it's like, okay, this is when I get the clarity about what I'm going to be doing in January
Mhm.
is in September. So just if you're listening to this and you're like, what should I be focusing on? It's noticing what you naturally want to focus on. Like so much should become clear in September. I think um, there is a clarity to Virgo, which is why we can get things done and why we can strategize and we can put things together and we can be very practical in our nature. Is that and where we get stuck, which is sort of my kind of polarity, so to speak, is there's potential for great clarity, but there's also potential for great confusion. And I have to balance that. And that's my own personal recipe. But before we start, we jumped right into the pool, and that's cool. But I did want to mention that I have I have my Authority Accelerator Masterclass coming up. We start on September 15th. Registration is open. We haven't done one in months. We are hosting one again. This is a 5-day free masterclass where I take you through the entire process of building a business according to your human design, really stepping into yourself as an authority, both outside and inside. So we are doing that starting September 15th. If you want to get in on that, to register, all you have to do is go to NicoleLeno.com/masterclass or DM me the word masterclass on Instagram. I'm at Nicole Leno Official, and we'll register you right there in the DMs. Christina, did you have anything that you have going on that you want the people to know about before we officially start the episode and continue?
Thank you. Yes, I actually created 2 very in-depth videos on YouTube that cover this entire eclipse season because for me, it is a pretty complex pivot point for our year, and it will position us really well for not just 3 months from now in January, but it's actually pivoting us into a whole new era of our lives. And so I went into depth on YouTube. So if you'd like to follow me on YouTube, I know that there will be links in my bio. I'm at Luna Scopes on YouTube. Also, one of the pivots I'm making is I'm making my entire resource library available for free on my website mid-month. So all of the classes I've taught, everything I've done up to this point, I'm creating a resource library on my website. I will definitely be talking about it on my Instagram and probably on YouTube. So you don't have to fret if you don't see it right away. It'll be coming through in the middle week of September, right by my birthday. And the reason I'm doing that is because I have a body of new content that is ready to come through. And I'm learning that if I go ahead and
Release it.
the old content off of my desk, it's going to clear a lot of bandwidth for the new information that is ready to come through for the next leg of my journey. So please look for that. This is going to be a gift to everyone who has ever been a part of my community, and I'm very excited about it. I'm also closing out my quarterly readings in September, and I will be opening up a very short enrollment period in October.
Okay.
For quarterly readings for the following year. I will know how many times or slots I have available after I check in with all my current clients, but there will be just keep an eye out for that because there will be an enrollment period in October for the quarterly readings.
You can enroll me right now. You don't have to ask me. I'm going to keep going.
You're already.
I'm on. Keep me on the list.
We're in.
That is amazing that you're making all of that available for free. That's incredible. You guys need to follow her on Instagram. She's at lunation.live so that you can stay up to date on when all of that is happening, all the goods. Because that's an amazing offer. That's incredible. I'm going to check that out myself.
Yeah. Got a study yourself, learn astrology course. So you can learn astrology from my perspective. I have a whole workshop on how to take an inventory in all 12 areas of your life. And so there's a whole inventory workshop I always do in Virgo season anyway, but that will be available. My Black Moon Lilith Masterclass, which is 3 different videos, will be available. So yeah, all of my old content, it's still very valuable content, but I learned that in order to receive the codes that are coming through for the next leg of my journey, I just need to put those out into the world and let them go. So this is me letting them go.
Wow. And you're letting them go in a very generous manner. So that's incredible. Thank you. So let's talk about September. Let's talk about what's going on.
Yes.
Do you want to kick it off? I kind of jumped in there right away. What are you most excited about or feeling or seeing? I know you mentioned the eclipses, and we're of course directing everybody to your YouTubes that you created, but we do have the eclipses coming up. You know, the first one is the 7th, right? The lunar eclipse.
Yes. Yes. However, I will say that this window of time actually started on August 23rd. We
With the
got
new moon.
we got 2 Virgo new moons this time. So we actually are already officially in Virgo season as we start September. And September 1st through the 7th is this week where we're going to have Saturn moving back into Pisces briefly. So you know how I said we get these big vision ideas in Pisces?
Yeah.
Well, what we're going to have an opportunity to do during this season is take all of the information, do your inventory of every single part of your life, what's working well, what's not working well, take that inventory and then see where that inventory could take you on even the next level beyond what you dreamed before. In fact, something I'm doing this week is I'm writing a thank you letter to the version of me 1 year ago. There was a person that existed as me at the end of August last year. It was before my keynote. It was before I met Alex. It was before all of these things. I'm going to write her a thank you letter, thanking her for everything that she was courageous about and committed to and worked her way through in the last year. And then I'm going to write a letter from my future self a year from now, thanking my current me for everything that I am excited about and proceeding with in this year. And the reason I'm doing that is because this Pisces energy, the Pisces eclipse, the Pisces Saturn, it's an opportunity to open up the dream fold again, open up that magic again, even though we're in a time where we're very grounded, we're very focused, we're very close to the earth. Putting those two energies together can really, really activate and put the miracle grow on the things that you ultimately want to build and create and experience in the next leg.
I love those exercises. I've done them before, but I've never done them, you know, coinciding with the eclipse season and with this time of year. So I love that you put that together with that. So that's an exercise that you can take away, and you can do that right now. You can do that, or definitely during that first week of September. I've been feeling since the new moon, really looking at things again with that like scalpel of like what needs to be trimmed away, and I have felt that. And we've been in the 59th gate in human design, which is, you know, also the polarity of it is the 55th gate, which is arguably the most emotional gate, in definitely one of them that we have. And you know, if you've gone through that in that last week of August where maybe you felt tired, you have felt like there's that something's been pulling you down. I've been reflecting a lot. And that's what I have been really felt called to do at this moment, is reflecting on, what worked, what didn't, what needs to go, what really, just like I was saying before, it just tunes my energy to like, all of this can't come with me where I'm going. And where I'm going, that even that vision is being trimmed and shaped and getting more clear about what I really want that to be versus maybe what I thought it should look like or what someone else told me it should look like. So I'm feeling all of that right now. And so that going into that first week of September, from a human design standpoint, I just wanted to mention this, that from the 29th of August through about the 3rd of September, everybody's going to be emotional. So I always like to call that out. We're all going to get that 40-37 channel, which is the channel of community. It's the channel of the bargain. We close out the month and start the month with that. It's just something to know, especially if you are not emotional normally, that you will be. So things might feel really uncertain. You might notice that you have heightened anxiety. You might notice that you feel less sure of things. And like there's just like an inner sort of, a frequency that you are not used to. And if you are emotional, you might get a new wave during this time. And I just see it time and time again with my clients, where all of the unemotionals really get rocked when their emotional system gets hooked up out of nowhere. And this can be, this might cause some conflict in relationships. You might be looking at things and saying, where is it that I feel like maybe this bargain is imbalanced? Where is my life imbalanced? Where is there a partnership, a friendship, some sort of relationship, even a relationship with something like social media? Where are these relationships in my life? Where do they maybe feel like they are not serving me or need to be rebalanced in some way? And can you do that from a clear emotional place and don't make any hasty decisions in that first week? Don't go, cutting people off or anything like that, because it might feel like you want to. And I don't want anybody doing that. Just everybody's going to be emotional. So everybody gets the headline of, you wait before you make any big decision. You hang out and you sit with it until you feel like you are clear. And it is an emotionally clear decision that you make. That is just my little emotional PSA for that, till the 3rd of September.
Do you know that week I have labeled as the Knight of Pentacles? And if anyone's familiar with the symbolism of the tarot, the Knight of Pentacles is the only knight that's not moving. It's stationary, it's still, it's present, it's holding the value close to the body. And so I love what you said about just wait, slow it down. We're going to have Mercury moving into Virgo, so there's going to be a lot of analytical thinking. There's some interesting revolutionary ideas that people might want to take action on really quickly. But what we do have is Mars, the planet of action, in a square with Jupiter, which is in Cancer. There are some actions that we might want to take due to vulnerability. And if we can notice that and hold the vessel, hold ourselves, hold the emotion, feel it out, it will expand our vessel's capacity to know what ultimately is valuable in this moment.
Absolutely. And, you need clarity in order to do that. And emotions, what human design teaches us is that emotions, they are necessary. We need to feel them, but they can make us when emotions are high, intelligence is low, is the saying, right? So don't make these hasty decisions. Don't move for the sake of moving or because it feels so uncomfortable. Can you sit in that discomfort? That's sort of the exercise there. What else are you excited about? Because you started our conversation where before we even started recording, you were just like, I'm so excited about September. What are you excited about? What is the thing that you're just like, I'm so jazzed about this?
So I definitely saw September as a progression. So we have that first week, and we're inventorying, we're being still, we're taking a look without taking hasty action. And then the second week, I pretty much put a line through the entire week from the 7th to the 13th, because it starts out with the lunar eclipse in Pisces. And then as it moves through the week, we've got an aspect to the North Node from the sun. We've got basically we have a few aspects that come together and culminate as a Sun Mercury conjunction at the end of the week in Virgo. So that whole week, if we can just pry our mind open, it's a very receptive week where so we could channel an incredible new idea. If you can be patient with an open mind, something miraculous can come through that portal. And that miraculous, amazing, I'm not trying to be like clickbaity or anything about this. Like, I was aware of this opportunity last year, and I will tell you, my life changed dramatically after I prioritized that Pisces eclipse last year. I am now living in a new place. I've got a different life partner. I'm doing different work. So many good ideas came through that eclipse portal. And so I'm excited about it because of what I experienced last year. And so I get to chance to kind of proactively tell everyone, listen, let it land. Like, be with your soul as much as you can from the 7th to the 13th and let it land. Then be so excited because you'll want to do something with this idea immediately after it drops. But the 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th, those 4 days, whatever you're doing on September 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th, make sure that it's in a environment or surrounded by people who have like minds and who are going to help encourage you to open up to an even more courageous version of yourself. Courageous, complete, congruent, aligned, all of these kind of platitudey words actually are true in Virgo season, especially during this time. And there's this alignment on the 19th that's going to feel like a cherry on top. It's this Pluto Uranus trine. Both of these planets are encouraging something new to come into form, and both of them are retrograde. So this could be a moment where you just make this bold decision that you're completely taking something off your desk, like I am. You could make this bold decision that you're entering into a whole new era of your life, a whole new era of communication. It's like a epiphany gift packaged for all of us, and it's literally happening on my birthday, which personally I think is
just a little extra fairy dust.
I'm trying to deliver as many birthday vibes as possible on anyone listening, but yeah, and I believe that whatever happens during that week, it'll be so pivotal that you'll attract collaborators almost immediately. Well, I believe that the time between the 21st and the 24th immediately puts you in proximity with the congruent leaders or the congruent team members that you want to play with in the future. So
I love all of that. So I had something for that second week, just to sort of piggyback on what you're saying or emphasize this from the human design perspective. So what I see for that second week, which is my birthday week, which is that the 7th, my birthday is the 8th. For anybody who doesn't know, I accept happy birthdays in my DMs. That would be lovely. But this September 8th is my birthday. So we have the eclipse like the 7th, and that's my gate 64. So gate 64, when you were talking about answers, when you were talking about, a light, that like some idea, gate 64, known as the gate of confusion, but it is the gift of illumination. And as you were saying that, I was like, that's the illumination. You have the potential for that. And that's the same as it is every year. This year, that's when every year at that time, this is when that gate hits. But this year, what's different is the 47th gate is in the South Node. And so what we get there is we get a channel activated. So everybody will have a defined head and a defined ajna during that week. So technically from the 3rd to the 9th, you will have a defined ajna. Everybody will have that. And then what we're doing is then we go into the 47th gate, which is that tail end of that week that you were talking about, through the 19th. We have it through the 15th, which is the other side of that channel. So what we're doing is you're going to get consistency. Only 30% of the world has a defined head, which means that a lot of us are taking in a lot, but don't necessarily have a consistent process within ourselves to process all the inspiration that we're taking in. So there's a lot of stuff just sort of kicking around in there, which can cause confusion, overwhelm, feeling like we need to take action because we're inspired by everything. And that's 70% of the world that feels that way. We don't have this process to take that inspiration and turn it into something, into an idea, into clarity, into that thing where you're like, that's what I want to do. That's certainty. And we will all have that for this period. That period that you talked about. We're going to have that consistency for ourselves. Everyone will have that. And what you might get here, it doesn't mean that it will be the entire time, but if you can kind of not force the thinking, and I think you were saying this maybe in a different way. You're not going to force that idea because you can't force one. If the head center teaches us anything, you can't force it. But if you can allow it to kind of do its thing and trust that something is cooking, it's that rock tumbler, it's polishing the gem. And if it's going to come out, it's probably going to come out in that week. So I had that circled on my dates too, because I was like, this is kind of a time that's ripe for an idea, for like, I feel like, I had like aha written on there. Like it's going to be like, but not like an aha, like an interesting thing. It's going to be like, oh, that's what it was. That's what it was all the time. Okay, I'm going. And then it's going to be about you taking action from that place of knowing. So I felt like that jived very well with what you shared. I was like, oh, that's I see it this way. It's the same thing. And then going into that I guess technically the second, ish week, the 9th through the 14th, we go from that illumination and then it passes the baton to the other side of that channel, which is the 47th gate, which is all about being able to process the past and process the things that we have been thinking, or maybe I see that as a time ripe for us to be able to, and Mercury is conjunct with that too. We're in that same gate there. And to me, this just looks like there's potential for us to be able to look at something that maybe we have had a story about in the past, or that we've been looking at a certain way and that has been holding us back. And this moment is sort of ripe for an epiphany about that, to either let it go and change the story, or to see it from a new perspective and go, oh, I never saw it that way. And that changes everything. So it's all of those things. So that's what I see through like that middle of the month. I just feel like that first half of September is going to be ripe for us to have some real interesting realizations and insights, and kind of like that big aha potential.
I definitely feel more than usual that it will feel like we're initiated. We
Mm.
will self-initiate. We'll
Mm-hmm.
know that we're in our integrity. We'll know that we're standing behind things we value. We'll know that our ideas hold water and that
Mm-hmm.
they're valuable to cross-pollinate with other people's ideas without losing their potency. I feel very strongly that everyone will find that very rich value of themselves. And we've been working toward this. We've been clearing out our dependencies. We've been clearing out our old patterns. We've been incubating, connecting to our souls. We've been honoring alignment. We've been patient. We've had faith. Like we've literally been through the ringer leading up to this initiation. And one of my favorite teachers reminded me that initiation isn't like graduating from something and like you get the reward for finishing something well, and now you've won. You get your trophy. Initiation is actually entry into your ability to use that initiation, use that tool, use that gift. You'll only strengthen your ability to be magical when you use the magic that's given to you before you may be ready for it even.
Mm.
How do you handle the ability to create your own reality or write your own narrative or, design your own lifestyle or relationship? How do you get to strengthen your courage with that if you're not just given it to play with to begin with? So I believe that we self-initiate ourselves this month, and it's the increase in our self-awareness and self-acceptance that initiates us into that.
Mm.
Then into Libra season, we start practicing, and we practice with others, and we notice that this is a co-creative endeavor, and everyone has their own little magic wands, and we've got to honor the soup of it. But yeah, so I have very strong and optimistic perspectives on the way the world is going. And I know that that might sound a little insane based on what we see in the world right now. However, I can't deny that I see this. I can't deny that there's a silent internal revolution that's been going on in everyone's hearts for years. And
Mm-hmm.
that revolution's about to turn and show the first beautiful sprouts. And I'm here for it. I think the garden is about to bloom, and all the the new trees, the new growth, all the new endeavors, they're about to show themselves.
I hope you're right. I can't say that I share the same feelings about about the worldview. I try. I really hope that things are shifting for our highest good, and it's just one of those things that looks really messy, and like a lot of things need to fall away in order for the thing to be cleared. But it's an exercise for sure to come back to that, because I don't enjoy how things look, feel, or the discourse that's going on at the moment. But um, so I hope you're right. But can we talk just a little bit about? I think that this is something I had written down here that I wanted to talk about. Just being a Virgo, I think about this a lot. And I think that whenever we go into seasons, we really see what the sign is made of. When we go into, when we're living the sign, Cancer season felt like everything they described Cancer to be, to me. Like it was our chance to master the shadows and the gifts of this particular type of energy. It's calling us to something. And I think one of the things that, uh, you know, that holds Virgos back. So if you're a Virgo, or if you have a lot of Virgo in your chart, or if you're just a person living during the month of September where you're going to be hanging out in our land for a while, just know that I believe that every Virgo is on a journey of being courageous about who they are. I don't think it's something that tends to come naturally to us. I notice that there's, we can doubt ourselves a lot. We can feel, you know, like we should be overly humble. And I think that there is a balance that we need to create, and something that helped me that I'm really just starting to slip into, which is that the Virgo, she's a priestess. She is a goddess. She is, we think of like the maiden, but there's so much power. And I feel like she almost represents the feminine in that respect of like what we're beginning to see the feminine as beautiful, sexy, intuitive, and also very, very powerful, which I think can be scary for some people to see powerful women. And I think that that's part of what Virgo maybe causes us to dim our light, or feel like we have to shrink, or are afraid of being, inadequate in some way. And I think that this season calls us to really own how we see ourselves, and own, like, this is a time where, like, go explore, like, pleasure. Go explore, like, I think it's an invitation sort of to explore like feminine energy in a lot of ways. Like that's one of the things that's on my list of like, how can I, you know, get into the sensuality of things a little bit more? How can I tune into that aspect of me more? And the strategy thing comes easy and I'll allow that to happen and I'll let that get clear. But how can I step up into my bigness right now? How can I allow myself to be seen and also sink into what it really means to be a can you hear the word priestess or goddess and not feel like that sounds like something like that is not you?
You know, I've got this story I like to tell around this time of year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to tell the entire story, but
Okay.
let's let's start in Leo season. And to be
Okay.
fair, Venus is in Leo right now, and she'll
Mm-hmm.
be in Leo throughout September. So we've got this lioness, and she realizes that she has the freedom to run about the earth and to play. And she isn't so concerned about anything beyond the present moment. And she gets intrigued by this little mouse, and she follows the mouse this into a beautiful garden, and she's tromping through the garden, and the mouse is very quick and small, and it goes behind a bramble bush, and the lioness jumps into the bramble bush after the mouse without thinking, and she gets completely wrapped up and completely harnessed by this bramble bush. And every time she tries to use her strength, she cuts herself more in this bramble bush. And now she finds not only is she stuck, she's lost the mouse, and she's experiencing consequences of effing around and finding out, right?
Yeah.
So as she sits there kind of stuck, she sees this beautiful woman, this beautiful garden keeper, the person that planted this entire garden to begin with. And the woman comes closer, and at first the lioness puts her teeth out, like, get away from me, like, don't, like, who are you? Because the lioness is very powerful, and so she wants to exert her physical power to intimidate the garden,
Mm-hmm.
the host, right? But the garden host proceeds and comes closer anyway, and she says, listen, I can help you get out of this, but you're going to have to calm down and receive me. You're going to have to humble some of that fire a little bit so I can deliver the unburdening for you. I can cut those branches free. I can put the balm into the wounds. And so the lion understands how valuable and how much the lion needs to have the garden keeper's help. So the lioness calms down, she humbles herself, she remains still, and she allows the tidy work that the priestess provides her. And the lioness is so grateful to the priestess for her grace, for her patience, for her kindness. And she knows that now there's a new kind of strength. There's a strength in honoring, and there's a strength in respect. There's a strength in witnessing that there's a lot of freedom when you balance out the aspects of the priestess with the fire of the lioness. And so this time period is when we witness all of the parts of us that have gone unchecked, that have sort of let it run amok. And then we honor the part of ourselves that wants to actually bring something into greater alignment, bring it into healing, bring it into wholeness. And that's honestly when you see the strength card in the tarot. And so that's a different way of perceiving the priestess. It's not necessarily the priestess that, tries to heal the world. It's the priestess that holds her own humanity in her own, grace, and provides the sacred medicine that allows her to be strong and physical and capable and honor the garden.
I love that. I love that story. Thank you for sharing it. But I'm also like, what I keep thinking about is just that, when you say lioness and priestess, there's power in the softness. There is strength in the releasing and leaning back. And I feel like this is that time of, I know that's the work that I have on my little docket for myself, is how can I, because I'm absolutely, and I think that this is one of the Virgo defense mechanisms is, I'll be smart, I'll be strong, I'll be tough, and that will keep me safe. But it also keeps you alone. And it can also be a lot less fun. And you can, honestly, things can take a lot longer and be a lot more stressful and overwhelming and time consuming and energy consuming, because it's almost going against our nature. There can be that masculine force that we really benefit from leaning back into feminine flow. And I think that requires us to sort of look at that and say, well, what does that mean to me? And how can I connect to that in a way that feels authentic for me? Because I know that a lot of the ways that feminine flow has been described in the past didn't feel like me. And I felt like there was no place for me in that. And now I see it differently. So it's sort of, I think that this time of year is sort of an invitation into what does that mean for you? How can you connect with that and feel truly embodied in it without letting go of any of those strengths that are your strengths? That I have no intention of letting go of my drive or my strategic thinking or planning or any of that. It's just, how can I incorporate more play? Mm-hmm. How can I reach out to other people a little bit more and not feel like I need to do it all myself? How can I allow people to screw it up and not think that it's the end of the world? All of those things. So what else are we feeling? What else do we feel like we need to tell everybody about the month of September?
Well, I do feel that the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, after that new moon Virgo eclipse, we have a lot of very fast energy changing all at once. We've got the sun moving into Libra. We've got Mars moving into Scorpio. These are powerful places for the Mars aspect and for the sun. And the sun will immediately go into a bunch of aspects to Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus. These are, listen, do not be surprised if dramatic lines in the sand and changes happen between the 22nd and the 24th. And know that we have choices. We can either be the proactive creator of our reality, or we can react to other people's decisions and choices. For some of us, it's very comfortable to be in the position of letting the universe take the wheel and stepping back and just responding to changes that are kind of imposed upon us because we're at the back of the frame of the game that's moving, right? So if that's a strategy, just be aware that something that you've known probably isn't sustainable or probably is going to break or fail, and you're just waiting for it to do that because you just aren't. Like, for instance, I will give you a tiny example. I have a crack in my windshield. Mm-hmm. I am fully aware that if I don't care for the crack in my windshield during the month of September, it will probably break by the 22nd, 23rd, 24th. And this is for me. This is like, okay, there's an expiration date to me overlooking this thing that I could be proactive on. If I'm not proactive, the universe will probably give me the opportunity to fix it. Against my will.
Give me the opportunity, meaning force me to fix it. It's a nicer way to say that.
Yeah. And either strategy, there's nothing wrong with either one. There's no judgment of either one of these. It's just that if you like to wait till something breaks to fix it, then wait. And then you'll know that it was the divine time to do it, even if you hadn't planned for it. Or if you know that there are certain things that you want to get in front of, get in front of it. Get in front of it, because there's going to be a line on probably the 23rd where things won't get through the filter. It won't make it. And it's not a warning. It's just, that's the deadline.
I'm not warning you, but I'm telling you. I don't mean to put you on notice, but letting you know this is going to happen. I like your little dance there, where you're like, I'm trying to make this where I'm not being too forceful about like this is going to happen to you, like a fortune teller, but just want you to be prepared. I had something for around that same time. We have like what I'm looking at is right after that, I was looking at it for the eclipse. The eclipse is on the 21st. So we have, the solar eclipse. But then, right after that, the 26th through the end of the month, and it stretches into the end of October, the beginning of October. We're in the 18th gate, which just sort of coincides with some of what you were saying. It's about being able to, I think the textbook definition is like avoid radical upheavals in times of change in order to have gradual evolution. So it's like, can you withstand the big change or the big thing that feels like a huge upheaval? Can you kind of weather that storm in order to foster a gradual evolution that you're on? That's where these things come from. Big change happens, but our ability to be able to like hang with it and not freak out allows us to evolve in a way that's positive versus in a way that's negative. The Earth gate is in 17. This is just a time where Jupiter is now in a, forming a channel for everybody. And these are things that are these are like collective lessons. These are collective themes for us. So a collective theme that's happening during the 26th through October 2nd is you might find that it's a great time for communication. It's a great time for you if you have clarity on something, if something is striking you. Mark your calendar to really pay attention to if you feel like you have something to say. Trust that it will come out the way it's meant to. Trust that it will be received. But it is also a time, this one channel, I think one of the lessons of it is don't talk out of your ass, I believe is the technical term, is don't make shit up. Don't say things that are purely opinion without saying that it's purely your opinion. Because I think we are seeing we're living the consequences of everybody having a microphone and everybody having, access to an audience where they can say something that is not based in fact or reality. And this is that time where that will either bite you in the ass because you don't have receipts, because you aren't really substantiating anything. And I think when we're in this constant, like, fast content universe where more is more and showing up, we can tend to cut corners. And I think that this is one of those times at the end of September where we're going to be asked, where are you cutting corners? And be called to maybe spend a little bit more time crossing your T's and dotting your I's, taking in, like, do a little bit of research. Really, like, before you go sharing something, really pass it through your authority, but also substantiate it a bit where you feel good about it. Because that's the only time that you'll, like, this high frequency communication that's potential here. It's only that way if you're dealing in things with receipts. If you really feel like this is something that I feel very, very strongly about, and I feel in integrity sharing this.
And I'm so happy you brought that up because it is an aspect that I forget about, that like doing things with integrity and receipts, because that's definitely Virgo season doesn't have a boss looking at your receipts or your taxes or your books. Virgo season doesn't have that. It's self-integrity. It's self-authority. But guess what? Scorpio season does. Scorpio season always comes. I just wanted to, you can shortcut, you can Mickey Mouse, you can work it around, you can do all those things, but it's having the internal integrity gives you a lot of courage to face the dark flames of Scorpio season which is a time of uncertainty, which is a time of insecurity. It's where all of the securities are tested and transformed. So if you can kind of know what's going on, it's not it. I mean, we on a higher level, we're in integrity because it feels good to be in integrity.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. But then if you needed the external accountability, that external accountability might not show up in September, but it definitely will be challenged or will challenge in Scorpio season, which is only a month after. So if you need help, if you need an accountant, if you need a team member, Libra season is for that team.
Mm-hmm.
Identifying where the kind of slippery parts are is good for, and being honest is good things to do in Virgo season. Finding the people to help you balance your books or balance the equations in a fair and judicial, right relationship way is what we use Libra season for, because then we submit those documents to the Scorpio fire of transformation. It will be tested. It will be judged. And if you're in right relationship with everything and you've done all the things, you won't have to fear, which is ultimately what Scorpio season gives us, is fear. And that fear will be very much lessened when you know that you're in integrity with what you're doing.
Yeah, I love that. I'm both the checks and balances. My Virgo and all of my Scorpio placements are feeling everything that you just said there. I'm constantly checking myself. My integrity is inwardly checked and then also externally checked on a regular basis.
Yeah.
That was my I covered everything that I wanted to cover for September. Are you feeling complete and like we're leaving them on, with all the information arming them?
I could probably have a conversation every single week about Virgo season.
Of course.
That's why I'm just gonna put my entire resource library into the world. But I feel complete for this podcast for sure. I hope that I didn't sound too Virgo-y.
No, lady, you were perfect as always. Tell everybody where they can get. Where can they stay in touch with you again? For those of them who maybe skipped past it in the beginning, where can they stay in touch with you and get the free stuff? Get your eclipse, your eclipse, they're not readings, but notes on the eclipse on YouTube. Where can they get all that?
Definitely lunation.live on Instagram, and my website is literally www.lunation.live. So that is where you find me.
Make it easy.
Yeah, lunation.live.
And then it's Luna Scopes on YouTube. We'll link it all in the show notes so you can easily get to it. And if you want to join the Authority Accelerator Masterclass, we start on September 15th. Even if you hear this on September 15th, you can still get in. Just DM me the word Masterclass on Instagram. I'm at Nicole Leno Official. We'll register you there in the DMs, or go to NicoleLeno.com/masterclass and you can register right there on the website. All right. So wonderful to see you, my friend. Thank you as always for being here. I appreciate you. And thank you for making it all the way to the end of this episode with us. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. And remember, in order to have an unshakable business, you must first become an unshakable human. So thanks for letting us help you become unshakable with human design. We will see you next time.